Rod is probably one of the best 8th grade coaches you'll find in the state of Ohio. He really is. I prided myself on being a good scout. Rod is beyond unbelievable. He does an excellent job scouting and preparing. He hands us scouting reports, and some teams I don't even go look at a second time based on what he tells me. He is very thorough. But as we told Rod, he's holding the program back. He's 11-3 this year, and he needs to work on that. So that's a big one. Rod, he's supposed to be here about 8:30, so we can give him some static about that, but we picked on him. Bill Horsberger, once again, 20-0. This steady back there, I come in every morning and Phil goes, I don't know about this group. They can't pass, they don't dribble. It's like Lou Holtz. They don't think they can win a game. Then 2 years in a row, he's 20-0, wins the freshman tournament, ho hum. You know, you don't get that from a lot of people. A lot of teachers, when they get up there, 20+ years, they quit working with kids in the extracurricular activities. They come in, they put their time in, and they have an administrator sitting back there in the back going, here we are, Phil. What have you been at, 18 years now? He's been at it longer than I've been around. And he's one of the best. He really is. We really appreciate everything he does for us. The best thing that he did, he keeps score for our games. He had us ahead in every game. That's important stuff. Now we work up to my left, Coach Smelts. Coach Smelts is the player's favorite. I don't know what that says for Coach Postak and myself, but he's the player's favorite. No, we won't do that to him. Coach Melcher, as you know, finished 20-0 in his first season with us. Had a great group of kids, did a terrific job coaching. I remember him sitting down saying, Coach, it's been so many years, and what do I do if one of the girls starts crying? I said, make her run until she stops. But he changed that during the season and told one player she had to run until the cows came home. So Coach Melcher has his own way of coaching. He said, what should I run? I said, I'd like you to run about the same offense that we do and do the same things at Varsity. Here's a list of out-of-bounds plays. He ran none of the plays that we gave him to do. He was out there, what was it, kiwi, strawberry? We had some great plays. But his claim to fame is he was the stunt double in Hoosiers for shooter. No, but he did a terrific job. When you look for an assistant coach, and I really was, because I knew Coach Crabtree was leaving, I needed somebody whose personality was going to be different than mine. Coach Crabtree was perfect last year. Personality was real pleasant, easygoing. And honestly, we were blessed when we went up and asked Coach Smelcher, and he says, I'm not sure. And then I had the principal, Ron Jones, put the heat on him and said, remember, tenure and that stuff's coming up. And I was really, he came up to me about a week later and says, hey, I'd like to do it. And, we've been real fortunate. We really have. We have terrific coaches. Coach Postak. I finally got paid this year. That's what I was looking for. I want to know if I could say that. Finally got paid this year. Once again, if this was a college, and I mean this honestly, you hear this all the time. If this was a professional team, you hear this all the time. You would say, he is going to be next in line for a big-time job. Because an AD or a professional coach would come to him and say, you know something, you're an excellent coach, which he really is. And if it was a college, something like that, he'd be gone. Because somebody would come and hire him right now. The best thing in high school is you have to apply for these jobs. I had, who was I showing this today to? Eli had that thing, do you know any friends that want any head coaching jobs? What did I do with them? I threw them away. I didn't want Coach Postak to see them, I really didn't. And I mean that, he's one of the best. I've been an assistant coach under 3 different coaches. I've been a head coach. I had people that have been assistants underneath me, and I said, wow, I have no idea why they're even here. And the best thing with Mark is here. Here's what we want done. I would like to have these post players, work on these things, and they're yours. I'll see you in March. And so we're down to the state tournament, and I said, Coach, you did a nice job. I go, okay. But he worked with these kids night in and night out, and he spent the same amount of time. And then coming straight from soccer as a head coach, being an assistant, a lot of people would have problems with that. Back-to-back seasons is tiring, but he puts forth the same energy he does in soccer as an assistant coach, and he's just tremendous. I'm telling you right now, we would not be as successful without him. And that's why my primary concern is just if he wasn't going to be paid, that he was not going to be able to continue to do this. And so I really like to thank Mark for everything he's done for us. And last but not least, and this is kind of weird, but if we can give a round of applause for my wife over there. This is the last night, I promise. I'm coming home after school tomorrow. I really am. I think she's going to be home by 4. She has a tanning appointment. And those are the big things that she says. I can be home by 4. I have a tanning appointment. Or like tonight. Tonight is a typical thing. She goes, Todd, I thought you just going to come on. I said, I got a thing to do with Slam Key. I got to go over to the elementary school. I'm still working on my internship to become a principal. And she goes, well, I thought you just want to come home from school and rest. I said, well, that was nice. She goes, well, I got a tanning appointment at 4. Would you want me to move that back to 4:30? And so, but really, there's people out here who are coaches, but a coach's wife is a tough job. One, I'm not home. We have 2 kids under 2 years old. Obviously, all you people who are parents, you understand what that is like. She works part-time. I come home at all hours, and when I do come home, I usually go scouts. If it's a Wednesday night and we're still in the schedule, I go Pioneer League. I try to stay in somewhat of shape. I play ball on Monday nights. Our team's playing Tuesday and Saturday. And Friday night or Thursday night, I'll say, hey, Friday night, guys are playing Hudson. Let's go up there and watch that ball game. And so she really puts up with a lot. She goes to a lot of games, and people out there, sometimes you kind of get taken for granted. I come home and I say, wait a minute, this is not done yet? But it's really special, and I really appreciate that, together, obviously in a marriage you need to work together a lot of things. I really appreciate she allows me this time, if I'm home before the tanning appointment, I can continue coaching. Now I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Horrisberger, the undefeated freshman team, the Revere Freshman Tournament champions for 2 years in a row. Mr. Horrisberger, you are now up.
Hear me if I don't use the microphone? All right, first of all, I would like to congratulate the Varsity players for the success they had this year. Obviously, it was an outstanding year, and it certainly is easier to climb the ladder to get to the top than it is to stay there. That's just a little advice I have for you. Okay? Also to the JV team for going undefeated. The best competition we had all year was going against the JVs. We couldn't score. We didn't score a basket. No, we didn't. I would also like to offer congratulations to coaches Osborne, Postak, Smelser, and Partial on a great job of coaching. And it was a great job of coaching, people. I also want to thank the parents of the freshman girls team for your support, for being there, for waiting a few minutes if we were late for practice. Some girls, to hit 4 foul shots in a row, it takes them 45 minutes. Okay, what can I say? Just a few highlights of the year. We broke the record for number of wins in a season by 2. Last year we were 18-1. This year we were 20-0. We went up to Revere like we did last year. We played Stone the first game last year. We did again this year. We were the two best teams in the tournament, no doubt about that. We ended up winning by 3 points, I believe. Liz Cool hit 8 out of 10 foul shots in the second half, or we'd have been in big, big trouble. We played Copley in the finals. It's always great to beat Copley no matter when you play them. We won that game by about 15 points, and Ann White was named most valuable player of the tournament. That's the second year in a row for that. Last year, Ashley Senior was MVP. At this time, I would like to introduce the players. Please hold your applause until all have been introduced. I only have 4 minutes, okay? First of all, and you guys stand up. I should have something to pass out here.
No, you're not.
Is this working? Work. All right, first of all, Liz Poole. This is going to take an hour and a half. Okay. Jennifer Hartsock. And Courtney Hurley. Heidi Havens. Jennifer Krause. Stacy LeBeau. By the way, you were supposed to stay standing, okay? So if your name was already called off, I'll come back up here and stand. Lynette Macko. Aaron McHenry. Andrea Powers. Samantha Toma. Sarah Bookman. Ann White. What's the matter? And Susan Wismar. Now this is the freshman basketball team, and you may now applaud. Thanks a lot for a great team.
I'd just like to thank you, or we all would like to thank you. You're always there, and you always made us laugh and everything. And sorry for causing you stress. Thank you.
You did cause me stress, by the way. But we had a lot of fun, and I still think that's what sports are all about. So thanks a lot for a great job. I like y'all. I love y'all.
All right. The kids were panicking on me, and so I had something special I wanted to do for a certain person up here, and I was going to wait until we got to the varsity. Kristen and Krista were worried that I forgot about Andrea Parshall, and so I have a little presentation for Parsh here that I just wanted to share this with everybody. Parsh is a former player of mine. She played for me my freshman year. And I watched her play JV. I'm having a rough time today. It was her freshman year. It was my sophomore year coaching, my second year. And I was sitting down, row behind the bench, which I usually do in the first half of the season with the JV coach, just to make sure that they're doing the job that I expect them to do. And if I'm still sitting here at the end of the season, I'm still kind of concerned. No. As I talked to this other gentleman I wanted to make a special presentation to, Tom Carnes, I reached down and told him at the end of the first quarter, I said, Partial had a great quarter. He goes, yeah, she's tough, Austin. I says, yeah, I know. I hope you enjoyed it. It'll be your next quarter will be her last quarter that you have her. Use it wisely. And so, from then on, the Partial legend kind of grew. I left Ravenna there after her freshman year. I remember in the district final game, we're playing Boardman. At that time, they rated 4th in the state. They were undefeated. Andrea got her eye poked out and missing her contact. Her sister is giving her a contact from the stand. She's going to put it back in her eye to play. I'm telling her I'm not putting her back in. Coach Carnes is saying that's a good idea. Her dad's behind yelling at me, put her in, put her in, put her in. And so we waited and we waited. We got nervous. Andrea's fine. We're doing these eye tests because we've seen somebody else do them, so we thought we'd try them too. And Partial goes back in the game and launches up an air ball. But Partial had this unique ability to know it was going to be an air ball because while it's in midair, she yells, pass. Well, we have a 4-point student on our team. She goes to Howard, is it Howard University? Isn't Howard, Angie Brown, 4-point, wants to be a lawyer at Howard University. Brilliant young lady. She recognizes the term pass, runs underneath the basket, grabs the ball, kicks it back out, and Andrea gets it and chucks it up again. But this time she buries it. We end up losing the game, and Andrea apologizes to me for getting her eye poked out and not having her contact in quick enough. That, and I told the kids that they were capable of being a state championship team, and Andrea's apologizing for it after the game, and we got to be friends more than anything else. She was a sophomore in high school. I was a teacher at Perry High School, and we were friends. We would talk on the phone. I would come out and watch her play. I watched Coach Carnes coach. And, I got 2 special friends out of it. And they're 2 of my best friends that I have today. And I couldn't deliver. Never done it, but I got you 2 state championship medals. I want to give it to you too. I lost $1 to Hoover. Coach Meltzer, you can go now.
This will be on the Wadsworth Cable. Lucky dog.
I haven't cried since '68 when I got drafted. I'm a total rookie at this, so please bear with me. I've coached football for 20 years. They talked me into doing this, and it was probably one of the best moves I've ever made. I'd like to thank Andrea Partial for all the help, and I needed it at the beginning of the year. It was pretty shaky. The parents, just great kids have great parents, and this year testified to that. I'd like to, I haven't been this nervous since St. John's. What I'll do, I think I'll just call up each individual player. It was a total team effort. I know it's an oldie, but I truly believe that 20 years of coaching and every kid on this team played a great part in the success of the team. It was just a total team. So I'd like to introduce each player. Please come forward. And please hold your applause. Please hold your applause until after all the introductions. I think I'll just highlight one game. One game. One game per player. Okay? And it's just a game I remembered and I felt was important in the way they contributed. The first person I'd like to introduce is Kate Lowler. Kate's a freshman, and the game I remember the most with Kate was Magnificat. It was just back and forth the whole first half, and I still remember while Coach Oz sitting behind me when I told Kate to come up, and he just told her to go out and kick butt, basically. Kate went in. She was 2 for 4, had 5 rebounds and a block shot, and was very instrumental in that win. She just played great defense that game. The second person I'd like to introduce is Melissa Evans. Melissa is a sophomore in the Hudson game here at our gym. Melissa came in the 4th quarter, and she hit 3 two-point shots. She was 1 for 1 from three-point land. Unbelievable. But she's not a three-point shooter. She's a 4-5 type person. And 2 for 4 from the free throw line. She had 3 rebounds and a steal for 11 points in 1 quarter. Best quarter I've seen all year. Just a great job, Melissa. Okay, Amanda Agard. Amanda's a sophomore. Before I say anything about Amanda, just kind of smile at everyone. My first pregame speech, 20 years coaching football, linebackers, defensive backs, kind of the football mentality. Yeah, I think y'all know what I'm talking about. I have no idea what I'm going to tell these kids. I don't know how to. I had no idea what to say, what to do before the game. So I kind of went over the offense and defense, and I'm thinking, I've got to say something to motivate these kids. And it was either Amanda or Kate. Kate, you smile at them too. two of the greatest smiles in the world. And I said, and I got kind of fired up. I said, let's go out and just play like a pack of crazed dogs. And I looked up, and all I see is, and one of these times, they may have been sitting together. All I see are those smiles. It's kind of hard to relate to a pack of crazed dogs. But they went out and they just drilled my time. So I thought, well, I did something right, or they didn't listen to me and they did something right. Is Carrie Ballman here? Ashley Blackman. Now they told me I had about 5 minutes. The heck with that. I've got a couple other stories. I think Coach Bo said it was 5 minutes last year. Ashley Blackman. We're scouting the teams at the Ella tournament, so Coach Postak and I pack up a couple vans, and I have a load of gals, and Poe does, and we miss connections. And we're headed for Ella. And I'm getting ready to pull off, and I said, I think this is the exit, and I hear a voice from behind me saying, no, you go underneath that thing. I learned one thing this year: you don't listen to a freshman point guard. What were we, 35, 40 minutes late for the game? They had a cultural trip around the outskirts. But I forgive you, Ashley. Ashley just did a great job for me this year. I remember the Norton game. She was 8 for 9 from the 2-point, 1 for 1 from the free throw line, 2 assists, 2 steals, 4 rebounds for 17 points. Just playing. It was as close to a perfect game as I've seen this year. Ashley also led the team in field goals this year. Next person, Marcia Houston. Marcia's a sophomore. Marcia, I'll always remember Marcia. What a great kid. Beginning of the year, Parson and I are trying to figure out who's first team, who's second team. Marcia is no doubt about it. She's my starting 4 or 5 person. Just doing a great job, and then she goes down with the knee injury, which really set her back, but she showed up at every practice, worked out in the weight room, finally came back, and really started to gain back what she had lost toward the end of the year. The game I remember, it was a great game for her, because it was a pretty close game, and Marcia came in off the bench and hit 3 shots. She was 3 for 3 and had 4 big rebounds and 2 assists to help us beat Hudson. And she also had a block shot that game and just did a great job for us this year. Next person is Tracy Grubb. Okay, Tracy's a freshman. I remember all kinds of things about Tracy. And they're all good, Tracy, for the most part. But she had quite a few great games. But the one that stands out in my mind is the Revere game, where she was 9 for 11 for 18 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block shot. And Tracy was second on the team in field goal percentage for the year, 48%, and first in rebounding with 134. Next person is Laura DeShazi. Laura, I don't have favorites, but if I were to have favorites, and it's only because of football, she reminded me of a great defensive back. I'm not making fun of it. This is a compliment. When Laura went in, yeah, seriously. When Laura went in, things happened. Most of the time, good. But talk about a kid that is nonstop, not afraid of anything. If I had to go to war, I'd take Laura. In fact, I nicknamed her about halfway through the year. I started calling her Kamikaze. And then Coach Osborne, we're sitting, our last game of the year is going undefeated, Talmadge game. I'm nervous. I'm thinking, I've never been defeated before. I've come this close a few times, but you stumble somewhere along the line. It's next to impossible. So Coach Osborne gives her a history lesson about the kamikazes during World War II. And I go in to give one of my famous pregame speeches, and they're always lined up on the benches, looking at you. And I go to start my speech, and I look right at DeShazi. She's got a white headband with a red rising right in the middle of her forehead. I don't think I said anything. I think I just tried to review without laughing. and beat Talmadge pretty good. So. But Laura she was very, very consistent throughout the year, especially steals and assists. She was first on the team in steals with 61, and second in assists with 40. Her best game, her most solid game, I would say, and she again had a lot of them, was Green, where she was 4 for 5 for 2-pointers and 1 for 2 for 3-pointers. She had 3 assists, 5 steals, 2 rebounders, or 2 rebounds. Speaking of rebounders, I played you 5 one time, didn't I? I had enough confidence to take that little tiny person and put her in at a 5 position, and she did a great job. She'd play anywhere as long as she was on the floor. Next person is Wendy Orem. I felt Wendy was the difference in our Magnificat game. She came in off the bench and scored 9 points, had 5 rebounds, a steal, and just played great inside defense during that game. Just totally handled their big people. By far, she was the deciding factor. And the last person I'd like to introduce is Beth Haggerty. Just about every morning, I always park behind the gym, and I walk behind the main gym to go to my classroom every morning. Beth Haggerty was in there all the time, and it really paid off because she ended up shooting 45-46% for the year. One of the top foul shooters for us. She was first in assists on the team, second in steals with 54. Her and Deshazi, they're kind of clones. I mean, as far as the way they play and the intensity that they play at. Her highlight game, I thought, was Highland, where she was 6 for 8, had 7 steals, 1 assist, and 2 rebounds. If we could ever get her to dribble down the floor without doing this, that's my main objective next year. She just improved so much. I talked to her son, he's in my chemistry class. I talk to John for drugs in chemistry class all the time about what dedication is all about. John one day said to me, "Boy, I wished I could shoot," and that's where I said, well, you know, Beth started out when Todd moved her up as a freshman. You know, to see her at the beginning of the year, I didn't think she would be a starter. I thought she had a great deal of talent and potential, but you know, within 2 to 3 games, she was a starter and so solid the entire year. It's a real compliment to her dedication. And that should be it. Oh, one last one. I have one other award. I didn't get to introduce Ashley Senior. She played 13 games for us this year. She led the team in field goal percentage, 2-point, field goal percentage, 3-point, free throw shooting. And the thing that I most enjoyed about Ashley was if there was ever a leader for the team, it was Ashley Senior. She'd lead team prayer. She would make everyone kiss this necklace thing before each game. I even kissed it one time. There at the end, before the Talmadge game, I was going to do anything. We were 19-0. I kissed this necklace thing. I don't know what it was. She took care of that. She took care of the kids. Even after she moved up to Varsity, she was in our locker room before the game. She, took care of business. Just a great leader. And something that I did way back in the old days when I coached basketball at Norway High School, I would always give my scorebook to the person I felt was the leader, the captain of the team. And I'd like to give Ashley the scorebook. And now for Coach Osborne.
We just got some gifts from our coaches, and we just want to thank them for their time and effort they put into us, and they're the ones who made our season successful. And Coach, your present is over there on the floor. It's kind of heavy, so but this is your present, Marshall. And thank you. Yes, I do. Yeah, go and open the present.
I'm afraid. Oh my God. It's a bear.
Coach Meltzer, terrific season. He did a great job with the JV team. As a JV coach, we asked him to do some things for the varsity during the varsity game, keep track of timeouts, keep track of matchups, who's on the floor, who the other team's subbing in, fouls, and things like that. And Coach Meltzer was good at keeping that, and he did a great job. And at the end of at the awards banquet, at the awards, they're giving out the awards at the state tournament. They only give one coach a medal. And so, like with Andrea and Tom Carnes, we wrote down the state and requested, and they said, we'll sell them to you. And so, believe it or not, Coach Cranston even sprung for these out of the athletic budget. And Coach Meltzer, there's your state tournament medal. And before I go and introduce individual players, Coach Postak is going to give you the highlights of the season by the numbers, correct? Eventually. Coach Postak, here's your medal. Congratulations. Thank you.
Well, as Coach Osborne said, he asked me earlier this week, we were talking about how we wanted to work the banquet, and so we're going to run the same thing as last year. We'll start from back as far as exactly what did we do last year. And he said, well, just talk about the season. I said, okay. So I start thinking, and really, in all honesty, if I was going to talk about the season, one, I think we'd run out of tape, and because we could go and highlight so many moments throughout the year. And so what I decided to do is kind of take a look, and first off, Coach Osborne's going to be talking about the individuals, but as far as some of the team goals that we accomplished throughout the year, and after that, kind of go back and look at some of the highlights as far as the season. So to start with, jotted down some numbers. I guess being a math teacher, it would be necessary for me to do that. But as far as the season went, we set a school record as far as points per game average. Last year, I believe we set the record with 64 points a game. We had 70.5 points per game this year, so we averaged over 70 points per game, which is absolutely amazing. And what makes it even more special is the fact that we also set a record as far as least points allowed per game, and we gave up 38.7, so less than 40. So we almost doubled our opponent's score per game. We finished the season with 19 wins in the regular season, the only defeat coming to Magnificat, and that also would be a school record. 14 wins in the league to finish as Suburban League champions for the second year in a row. As far as rankings with the press, finished number 2 in the Akron Beacon Journal to the Worcester Generals. We finished number 3 in the Cleveland Plain Dealer Poll to Trinity as well as Magnificat. And we finished number 6 in the final state poll for the season. Against Suburban League teams, our average margin of victory was 37 points. And over the course of the season, we had 88 three-point shots. And I believe that would be close to being a record. I have to go back and check. The only team that I would think would even come close to that would be Jenny's sister's team. When Stephanie was a senior, they were up there. As far as the total season is concerned, 26-1, best record in school history. As far as the all-tournament team goes, 80% of the all-tournament team was represented wearing red and white, so it was a great accomplishment. And that was just recognition of the fact we did not have one player on this team. And the thing that we found out is even when we went up against Pickerington, they really relied on a couple players, and as soon as those players were not available, they ran into trouble. We were consistent throughout. We had 4 on the all-tournament team, but actually we could have had all started 5 on there, if not more. And the nice feather in the cap came after the state championship when we jumped from being unranked, not ranked at all in the USA Today poll, to jumping to number 5 in the nation, which is a great accomplishment. And what made it even better is the fact that we found out Coach Osborne went to the NCAA Women's Final Four, and he had a nice talk with the head coach from Oregon City, who's the number 1 team in the nation. And Oregon City coach was explaining how the Pickerington head coach had called him a week before our state final, semifinal game, and had set up a sponsor to put on a national championship game on June 1st between Oregon City and Pickerington. And unfortunately, the Oregon City coach says he has not heard from that Pickerington coach since that time. As far as other accomplishments, as I said before, 1997 Suburban League champions, 1997 Akron Ellet sectional champions, Akron Ellet district champions, Canton regional champions, and of course overall the State of Ohio Division I state champions. From there, I started looking back and thinking about some of the things that happened throughout the course of the season. It's really easy to go back and focus on games, talk about what happened in this game or what happened in that game. But I decided to kind of look back all the way to when we played Worcester last year. Don't worry, I'm not going to go day to day. But really, looking back last year when we played against Worcester in the district final down at Jackson, I remember losing to them and remembering how close things were that year. And I know the team remembered that all the way through the season. We were this close the year before. And that set the tone for all the work that was put forth for the rest of the spring, during the summer, doing the preseason, on into the season, going through a whole season and into the tournament. And that just shows the consistent effort and the determination of the girls that are sitting up here. I remember meeting the Pickerington coach for the first time down at the state tournament last year with Coach Osborne when they got in somewhat of an arguing match. And the Pickerington coach kept asking, who are you? Where is Wadsworth? If you guys are that good, come meet us down here at the floor next year. So it was really nice to step on the floor at St. John Arena, look over to them and say, we're here. I remember a frustrated team during the preseason going to North Canton Hoover for a scrimmage. And Coach Osborne decided to meet us there, so we went over on the bus and we went against North Canton. And all I really remember about that is the one girl just kept fouling and fouling and fouling for North Canton. And she was just slugging our players, and Coach Osborne was getting more and more upset at the team. And he unleashed on them time and time and time again until the team finally said, Coach, enough. We can't take any more of this. And it was from that point, I think, the effort changed, both as how we were handling things as coaches as well as how the players were approaching everything. There was a lot of expectations coming into the season. One other thing that I remember that I forgot to bring up, Coach Smeltzer last year, during baseball season, was unfortunate enough to receive a baseball to the face and was unable to attend a junior banquet because of that. And Coach Osborne and his wife were going to the junior banquet, and I was asked to go in his place. And the reason I remember that is because of that unfortunate incident, and I'm sorry, but because of that, Coach Osborne and I got our pictures taken with the then juniors to have a memento, and that was last spring that we got this picture taken. It just makes it all the more special even now, and have this up at home. But something special definitely started right here with the 4 seniors. I remember opening the season by breaking the single game scoring mark against Medina, and then going the next game against Cloverleaf and breaking that mark. We scored 90 points our first game, then 95 in the second. And the kids started to say, this isn't that bad. We'll just keep topping it game after game after game, and we'll be set. I remember Megan Montoni going down with an injury early in the season and being told that more than likely she would not be able to come back the rest of the season. And for Megan to come back, it was truly tremendous. And she worked her tail off every single day to come back, whether it be on the bike or running. She'd come up and say, Coach, guess what? I'm running backwards now. And everything was a step for her. I remember the Revere coach verbally abusing Coach Osborne after our first game against him. It's one of the few people, Coach Osborne, before the game, what made it even worse is the fact that after we beat the team before, we went out to dinner, the 3 coaches, and he was talking about how the Revere coach the year before had said, I got your number, I know how to stop you guys. That's what she said down at the state tournament the year before. So Coach Osborne said, I can't wait to go against them. He goes, we'll really get them back. The problem was the woman who was serving us had a daughter who played for Revere and kind of made it an embarrassing situation. So in all honesty, we had the press off and everything else, and we still scored 90-some points, and we had phone calls saying that we were running up the score and everything else. But everyone got involved in that game, and it was just amazing to watch because everything was firing on full cylinders the whole time. I remember at a practice that Coach Osborne was unable to attend, where Jen Pack hit a 3 at the buzzer during 11 stations. And I think the only time I've seen her more excited was down at the floor at St. John's Arena. She hit that 3. I remember Coach Osborne's car full of balloons after his 100th career victory, and laughed as all the kids popped the balloons and let the confetti go all over the car. I remember going to Stowe in what was supposed to be the premier game of the year for Akron, the 2 best teams of Akron, and proceeding to whoop them by 17 points at their home court. I remember feeling a bit of relief after Firestone made their first basket in the second quarter. I remember talking to some of the players as far as being role models and how kids always look up to you no matter what you do, and that your actions are seen. And I think the kids definitely saw that as we went on the tournament run. These kids look up to you. And everything you do, they see, and they want to be like you when they grow up. I remember thinking we'd have to finish the game against Brecksville short because of people fouling out. That was the most fouls I'd ever seen in a half, in particular against us. We went up, normally at halftime, I'll go up to Phil Horsberger and ask, who's in foul trouble? The question in that game was, who wasn't in foul trouble? Because every one of our starters had at least 2 fouls. We had 4 with 3 fouls, and we were looking, but we made the adjustments the second half. I remember seeing all 3 of last year's seniors at the Worcester game, talking with the team before. And that's the thing that a lot of times goes unnoticed. This is a great program that everyone's involved in, whether it be the freshmen, the JV, the varsity. People come back. And Lindsay McNamara and Sarah Link and Nikki Kramer were there at Worcester talking to the kids beforehand. And I think that shows what it's all about. Victories are nice, state championships are great, but there's a certain bond that develops between teammates and working all together towards a common cause. And I guarantee when we won that state championship, we all held our heads up high, but I guarantee that those 3 seniors from last year did also. They were very proud. I remember listening to the song, Who Are You, through the speakers in the gym. When we were going against Pickerington, Coach Osborne wanted to play on this, Who Are You, Where's Wadsworth? So he decided to play the song, Who Are You, by The Who. And as we were singing, Who Are You, I think some of the kids were singing, Who Is This? They had no idea what the song was. I also remember preparing for Columbus that same day by trying to recreate the noise that the kids would hear at the St. John Arena by taking the radio and putting it on AM and get the fuzz going, and then putting the microphone next to it and cranking the thing up. And everyone was talking and you couldn't hear one person. So we really started working as far as the hand signals, etc. I remember the wonderful feeling, as I'm sure the kids do, of looking up in the stands and seeing the complete sea of red, and how we were totally in control in the fans as far as the number of fans at the arena, whether it be at districts. I can remember the Stowe girl coming out and saying, oh my gosh, look how many people they brought. Firestone didn't even say that because they had like 5 people. But I remember at St. John's Arena when they were introducing everybody and looking up and having a sense of pride of seeing the whole community there support this team and to follow them. I remember before the game, Coach Osborne going and sitting in every bench seat at St. John's Arena so that he could say he sat in the same seat that Bobby Knight sat in. He just went from seat to seat on down. I remember also Lisa Inman fouling out with about 4 minutes to go, 4:31 to go in the 4th quarter, and coming over and going on the court and meeting her, and her words were, I'm sorry. And I told her, don't worry, we're in this game. 2 minutes later, as she sat by me next to me on the bench, Coach Osborne turned around, looked at her and said, Lisa, you will play tomorrow. I promise you that. And that was with 2 minutes to go, and it wasn't something to cheer her up. You could see it in the eyes. We were all after it. I remember wondering if 0.7 seconds could ever end. It was along, the girl caught the ball, went around her back 3 times, put up the shot, and it's still going. I also remember everyone wanting to see Jen Pack upon their return to the hotel. Remember eating at the Villanova. Nice Italian restaurant where the supply of breadsticks never ended. I had so many breadsticks that weekend. I can honestly say I remember the whole championship game from start to finish, from introductions all the way through, playing to the introduction of the players afterwards. I remember coming home to a town with open arms, cheering, as the kids in the van just kept saying, oh my gosh, look at all these people, who are they? I remember watching with pride as the seniors played their final game in the All-Star games, and going to watch and kind of in amazement that these kids just 4 or 5 days before, were playing in front of 10,000 people at St. John's Arena. Now they're playing in Highland Gymnasium in front of the county people. But to watch them go through, and I remember the game, unfortunately I didn't get to go to the first game on Monday, then the second game with Chris and Hoover just diving all over the place in an all-star game. And Chris McCall having probably set the record as far as block shots. You had 6 block shots in that game, and each scoring 10 points. And I remember that this is a family, everyone here, and that's what makes everything so special. It's not just these players up here, it's the players on the side, the players in the front, it's the parents, it's the grandparents, it's the relatives, it's the friends, it's the community. And that's what makes everything so great because of that. So as a team, I feel that we definitely represent our community very well, and we gave to it a championship, and that is forever and always. Now that that's aside, I also decided, we went through and we did by the numbers. We also did an unofficial by the numbers as well. And would like to start off with just giving a number and then kind of give the meaning that I have as far as it. 0. The number 0 represents to me the number of times Coach Osborne said Saturday correctly during the It was never Saturday, it always came out Saturday. 1, I remember that one special horse on Hartman Road going out to Kansas. And some of these are never again, unfortunately. It's going to stay that way. 1.5, the time remaining when the ball left Kate Lyron's hand, the championship game. Had a real nice picture from the Gazette where there was 1.5 seconds where it left her hand. The number 2 represents the total number of times I made a 3-point shot during knockout. I was throwing up bricks. I went in one Sunday and shot and hit everything, but as soon as we played knockout, the 3-point line, I airball every single time. 3.9 was the time left when Jenny Martin passed Kate the ball, also seen in the Gazette. The number 4 represents the number of times the man at the Clarion complained about the noise and asked us to keep it down. We're at the Clarion Hotel. We beat Pickerington, so for some reason the kids are a little fired up when we get back to the hotel. And there's this one poor gentleman who has a do not disturb sign outside, and he is surrounded by players as far as rooms. And the kids are running up and down the hall screaming, "We beat Pickerington, we beat Pickerington." And he kept sticking his head out saying, "Would you guys be quiet?" And finally, it's a good thing that we had a judge there. Coach Carnes went and talked to him and got everything settled down. 5 foot 5 inches, the height of the Pickerington coach. 6 foot, height of the Revere head coach. Those are Coach Osborne's 2 best friends. The number 12 represents the number of times Kate Lyron asked where she was after hitting her head on the court earlier in the season. She didn't know who she was or where she was, but she knew that there was a game the next day and she was playing. So. Number 17 represents the number of people in Columbus who think Coach Schmeltzer is Coach Osborne's father. And every time we'd go out to eat, the woman would bring the bill and she said, "Okay, who should I give it to?" And Coach Osborne would say, "Give it to my father. Which of these people look like my father?" And it was myself and Coach Carnes, Coach Schmeltzer, and Mr. Lake. And they immediately went right to him. And while we're on the subject, 24 represents the estimated feet traveled by Coach Schmeltzer after being run into by Megan Montana. We're at a practice doing a zigzag defensive shuffle drill, and we're just wrapping the thing up. And Coach Osborne says, okay, wash out. So the kids are going to get water. Coach Smeltzer's walking, and Megan Montoni's doing her shuffle, playing defense, and Tammy, right? Tammy Young's on offense, bringing the ball to the floor. And Coach Smeltzer set the greatest pick in the world because Tammy went right in for a layup. But he was just kind of haphazardly walking, and all of a sudden, from the side, boom. And he flew, and actually, if Jenny wasn't dressed up, I'd ask her to do the imitation of how he landed. And he flopped like a fish and traveled about 24 feet. The number 50 represents the cost in dollars to replace my neighbor's mailbox after Coach Osborne ran over it after returning from Columbus. Here I move into a new house in September. I haven't been home at all because I've been at practices all the time, so I really haven't met a lot of my neighbors. And one of the first people that I see comes up to my door knocking saying, hey, your brother hit my mailbox. I said, short guy with an attitude? He said, 68 is the approximate number of times Jen Pack jumped up and down in her hotel room after the semifinal. Before, how did you put it in the paper? He said, I felt a little dorky. That's up there in quotes of the year with Coach Smeltzer's, she was a true warrior. And we have a couple more. 456 represents a new school record verified by Coach Cranston as far as the amount of money spent on one meal for this team. We went to Damon's and spent $456 on one meal. And we told them to order whatever they wanted. This was Thursday night. And filet mignon for Miss Martin there, $16.99. Everyone, they weren't even looking at what was available. They were just looking at the cost. And what made it worse was Coach Smeltzer forgot to get the receipt after the dinner. So we had to figure out how to get that so we could turn it in. At 500, we have a tie. We have the number of times Jenny Martin fixes her hair during a game. As well as the number of times that Lisa Inman wipes her shoes at the free throw line. Second to last, we have 10,713 record attendance for a girls' state semifinal game, and I feel that it's probably the second highest attendance overall in the history. I think the only game that would be more would be, go ahead and clap. I think the only thing that would be above that would it be Pickerington, Logan, the game that you were at? And that was a state final. So we definitely had the highest or largest crowd as far as the state semi, and I believe second overall. I think that's one of the few times that they've ever opened up the balcony for a game. And then last but not least, somewhere above, Coach Osborne and I kind of lost count, but somewhere above 10,713 is the number of push-ups done by Caitlin Vujas during the season for using improper language. Now, before I hand things over to Coach Osborne, I really want to take a moment to send some thanks out. And it's to the team, it's to Coach Osborne, Coach Meltzer, Coach Parsh. But the thing is when I was young, way back when, and it's actually getting kind of bad because I started thinking about, we were talking about when the boys went to state, and we found out that was about close to the time when Elisa was born. And then I started thinking, wow, as a coach, now I can go up to a kid and say, I've been playing basketball since before you were born. And that's not really the thing that I wanted to be able to say. But started playing basketball in 6th grade. And that happened to be the year that the boys went down to state. And really at that time, my mom took me down, got me signed up for basketball, etc. Heaven knows I wasn't very good and didn't improve much during my years anyways. But the thing is I started following basketball that year, and it just happened to coincide when the boys went down. And I was in 6th grade at the time. And I can remember a lot of things about that, as if it was yesterday. It was very special to me. And when I look at things, Yeah, I can remember going to Copley and watching the boys beat Barberton on a half-court shot, or at least sending it into overtime, and in overtime they beat them by 12. And I was sitting up in the rafters at the same Copley gym that we play in now. And I remember going to the Canton Civic Center and watching the boys dump off Canton McKinley. And the thing I find ironic about it is because there was one article in the paper about Coach Osborne saying how he cried after that game because McKinley lost. I was the happiest guy there. And that's probably, I figure that's the first time that he and I were ever in a gym together. He was crying and I was running all over the place getting autographs from the players. And I remember traveling down to the state tournament and the parade that followed and everything else. And it was at that moment, following the truck coming back up, and they met in the gym here, I was sitting way up in the top, that I had a dream as far as making it down to Columbus and being on that floor. And that was a dream of mine from 6th grade on. And I was willing to do whatever it takes as far as accomplishing that dream. And I remember working hard, 7th, 8th grade on through, and I remember my senior year when I lost my last game of my career. I remember how I cried after that because my dream had ended. But I knew that I wanted to get into coaching, and that dream could come true through the coaching. And when I came here and started at Wadsworth, obviously that's a goal as a coach. You want to go down, you want to be in the state tournament, you want to make it down to the Final Four, you want to win the thing. And I can't tell you how proud I am that I can say that a couple weeks ago, a month ago, my dream came true. And and that's a dream that I've had since 6th grade. And you guys made it come true for me. And for that, there's no way I can ever repay you for that. But I don't have too many things that I said are my dreams, but that was one of them. And when I stood down at St. John Arena and looked up into the stands, I started to get tears in my eyes. Because I always wanted to come back here, and I wanted it to be here. Because I remembered how special it was when I was in 6th grade. And it was like reliving that memory again. Being down there, and it made it even more special because I spent the whole year with you guys. And you put up with me, and fortunately I put up with you also. But the thing is, you gave me something. And I still have my state tournament book from 1981 that I kept. And I had all the autographs, and I'm looking all over the place, and I'm sure it's in a box somewhere. And maybe if I ever unpack in my house, maybe I'll find it. But I have this from 1981. In the back, I have the players' names that are right in my 6th grade writing, circling the baskets and everything else. And I remember when the news banner came out at that time that I got this thing saying the Wadsworth Grizzlies 1981 AAA state runners-up. The thing's in real bad shape because I'd looked through it every single day. And when we started to make the run, I brought this thing out and started looking again and started reliving the memories. But now I can put that off to the side, and from now on, this is going to be the thing I'm going to pull out, the 1997. And that's something special and something that's always going to be there. And now I have a new one. And I want to get another one so that when this one wears out, I can at least have one in storage. But I just want to thank you for everything that you gave to everyone here. You have provided something very special. But on a personal note, I really appreciate allowing that dream to come true. And for me to live it through, you guys out on the floor was just as special as being there myself. So thanks.
I told you he was fantastic. He's an unbelievable assistant coach. He's unbelievable for this program. And you typed this real nice. You got mine? Wow. It's been a long night. I know it's been a long night. And we have such great individuals and stuff like that. That's what I want to do myself here is thank a couple people again, introduce you to the team and the people that have been with us all year. And everybody's getting to believe that they were terrific, and they are. And I have some other things I'd like to add about each player individually as to what we saw as coaches in them and stuff like that. First, I'd like to introduce Rachel Mayer. Rachel, if you'd stand up, please. Rachel was our manager this year. She got a practice schedule, got the clock out, made sure everything was running on time. If we were ever late from practice, it was Rachel's fault. Rachel got the locker room cleaned up, got the locker room open. Rachel locked the locker room when it was time to leave. Rachel got all of those basketballs in practice because if they was laying around, I had a tendency to kick them. Rachel made sure everything was on the bus. Rachel made sure I didn't lose my keys. And if I would have talked to Rachel before I come here tonight, I wouldn't have lost my speech. Rachel had to run and get ice for everybody, for everybody to see. It's an unsung job. You don't get much credit for it. You don't get much recognition for it. But it's a job that's very important to us. And it's a job that, that our administration recognizes as being very important. So Rachel does letter. She is a first-year letterman for our team this year. And we have a letter for her. We have an award certificate for her. So when the team comes out there and gets their awards, you come up with them, please. Thank you, Rachel. Really appreciate it. Carrie Eaton. We started off the year with 4 people doing stats. We ended with 1. I don't know if Carrie ran them all off, but I'm going to go with this. She's the fastest stat runner in the state of Ohio. I'm going to go, I don't think anybody else is. But to be a competitor at a state level, I mean a national, all Ohio, national state letter, and then to come back and say, okay, I'd like to help your program and keep stat. You usually don't find that character in a lot of individuals. I mean, you really don't. When people are successful in one area, I'm successful here. But she was a part of our team, and she really was. She kept stats, she had her dad working, the whole works. We really appreciate everything you've done. The best thing about Carrie is she's only a sophomore, and she's back for 2 more years. You gonna do it, right? Okay, we got her. She said, yeah, we got witnesses. We'll see you again next year. Thanks, Carrie. 2 people that have been with me since my time from Ravenna when I was nuts back then. You guys, really, I've calmed down about 10,000 times. I've slammed the ball and it's made it to the rafters during a game. I've unloaded a rack of balls during a game. I've thrown people out of gyms, told them they had to run home. I've done a lot of stupid things, especially when I was young. I got a lot smarter. Coach Post said I got on that. But Tom Carnes, if you wondered who this big gentleman was, yes, he is a judge. He is a juvenile and probate judge in Portage County. He's a fantastic coach. He worked with me at Ravenna. He was a terrific head coach. He's a 3rd all-time leading scorer at Ohio Wesleyan University. He didn't pass much, but when he got the ball, he shot it. A lot of times it went in. We didn't let him come to practice because we was afraid a lot of our kids would get the same bad habits. When you get it, shoot it. But he came all the way from Ravenna, 45 minutes every game, any practice that we asked him to come to, went on scouting trips, went with us to Columbus, drove his car, and just took us to Dayton. It almost killed us. We're coming back from Dayton doing about 120 on this ramp. Tires were squeaking. And the thing is, with Postak and Schmeltz on the same side of the car, it was really tilting to one side. Postak and Coach Carnes on one side of the car was really tilting to one side. And Schmeltz, were you there with us? And I was in the air, I really was. The car was leaning like this. But this is fantastic. And I know if I'm saying for the kids, we really appreciate everything you did for us. I did have partial written down. I don't have to go through that again. It cost me $1 partial. All right. What I'd like to do is introduce the players at this point in time. Talk a little bit about each player, kind of like Coach Meltzer did, say a nice thing about them. We're going to hand out some awards to the players. We have numerous awards, so we're just going to give them their certificate and their letters and that stuff. And when everything is over, we have numerous awards. Don't leave. I have a bunch of things I'd like to give to you all. First up would be Rachel. Now, hey, it is their senior year, and I would like, please applause when I get done speaking for each individual player. They finally earned it. Very big into teamwork and not too much in individual recognition. The stuff I put up in the locker room stuff is all on team stuff. And this is the time of year, yeah, they deserve that individual recognition. First player I'd like to introduce, last year I gave a story about being the little engine. Just amazed me what she did on the floor. this year, I don't know how I came up with the term little booger, but somehow I started to use that every time I referred to Jenny Martin. Then all of a sudden, we talked to Jenny, you're gonna really have to box out and rebound this game, because Springfield sends everybody to the boards, and all of a sudden she becomes Rodman, she's grabbing rebounds everywhere. She's chasing down loose balls, she grabs a rebound in the state championship game. I don't know how many times we ran her off picks, and just off all kind of picks, and she'd catch that ball in the corner and turn that whole little frame of hers up and just bury a three, and I'm running down, I'm just excited to see it. Every time she played the game, I kept on waiting for an amazing thing to happen, because she always made things happen. The Mason game, yeah, everybody will recognize, but she did stuff like that all year long. Big game, I mean, little guy, little girl, just ran out there and really doesn't like to be out there, but we played Copley 4 times. She averaged 18 points against Copley. We're in tournament games, she's the MVP of the tournament. The look on the face at the Pickerington team, I'll never forget that. I turned and she got fouled on that, and just right after she had the ball in her hands, the girl from Pickerington took it off over, and we're going on the other end, and she comes off the pick, and the girl bumps her, and we're going to go to the other end and shoot free throws. She stormed on that board. Usually she bobs, didn't even fix the hair. Straight to the foul line, got the ball, made both free. I mean, there was not a doubt in my mind. The look of concentration on her face, the bigger the game, the more she's ready to play. The only thing that disappointed with me the entire year with Jenny is her and her boyfriend broke up, and I offered, and I said, hey, I guarantee you'll have a date before the spring fling, and if you don't, I'll go with you. And she says, no, coach. She turned me down. Turned me down, but she was first team All-Suburban League, all Medina County, plain dealer, honorable mention, but any Northeast Ohio Inland honorable mention, numerous awards, a great career, a terrific person, a smile that can melt ice anywhere. Jenny Martin. Second senior, the thing I remember the most, it started last year. She's starting to guard on the JV team. Krista McCall hit more threes with her toe on the line and didn't get, she got caught a few times, but she would constantly hit threes at 19 feet, 9 inches of the line. She'd be 19 feet, 8 inches, toe on that line. I remember being down West Virginia, Coach Carter, I said, I really am going to cut that toe off. It is driving me nuts. And just doing that. And I remember the first time we were over at the kids' house, one of the team meals last year, over at Montoni's house, and Megan brings out a film where Krista scores in the wrong basket. And it's just, you sit there and the toe on the line, the scoring in the wrong basket, and her best friend Kristen here, it's not like she pats her on the back and says, it's okay. And made sure everybody understood what had happened. I'll never forget it. But the biggest thing is you look at your seniors, you look for them for leadership, and you talk about that. And I knew we had somebody with very good leadership qualities when time after time she could leave the JV coach somewhere, bring her in, and then dump water on her head. And it organized that every time. Every time I turn around, I look at Coach Crabtree last year, and I said she was soaking wet, and I said, what happened? Krista came and got me and told me to take a picture, and they got her on the mat and they dumped water on me. Krista came and got me and did this. Krista came and got me. And I said to Marion, after a while, you're going to get, you should maybe think about what they're asking you. Well, when Krista says we're going to do something, I always believe it. And so we did that. And then, at the end of the year, Mr. Eaton had this camera. And we had the picture. And I never realized right in the middle of the picture, she had this very long neck. It's just like it appeared out of nowhere. And it stuck out past everybody else's. And her head was right in the middle of the picture and shot up. And it was always the neat and unique things with Krista that I'll always remember. I remember they coming in and hitting threes against in a couple different games. But, 2 or 3 games, so it was on the line. I remember on the bench support for her teammates, everything like that, always a constant leader to character, organizing our summer stuff, organizing the preseason conditioning. it takes one heck of a person. And as I said, we was meeting at the Rotary and talking to them. And as the seniors go up and talk a little bit about what they're going to do, and most of them, all three of them said they're undecided. And I said before we started, I said there will be one that I guarantee will be decided, have a clear-cut path. She's a very determined young lady. She's very strong in her will and knows what she wants to do, and she will accomplish it. I mean, there's not a doubt in my mind. In 4 years, Krista will graduate from college. She will have a good job, and she's going to work for some company, or she's going to be in education. She's going to work for a school district that's going to be blessed to have her, because she is very focused, and a very nice young lady, and very good at everything that she does. Krista McCall. She's better known as Hoop. As I was looking at, and we do have a highlight tape afterwards, it's all over. If anybody wants to stay, it's set up over in the library. I promise it's only, what, 12 minutes, Parsh? 12, 15 minutes. It's set up afterwards. The highlight of our season, Andrea Parsh will put it together again. I look at it, it says Krista, it says Jenny, it says Megan, and then it gets to the part where the seniors, and it's Hoop. Hoop has no other name. The crowd yells for it. The things I remember the most, the intensity. I mean, I'll never forget this. I tell everybody the same story. Revere. Kristen Hoover. I'll never forget this. Is the best story. I can't wait till you graduate. Like I'm going to tell the freshmen, and they've never heard this story. But this is what you need to do as a player. You need to have somebody on your team that throws bad passes. And we had that. And so the ball's going out of bounds, and I'm getting ready to yell at the person who threw the ball. As I start, I look over, Hoover comes dashing across the floor, catches the ball somewhere, flips it back over her head. So I look back out, and Jessica Henry catches it. And another pass is made, and I look back, I can't find Hoover. I look back, she's over in the trash can. She had went head first into the trash can. With Jessica was a very strong offensive player. Her belief was, hey, we got two passes, I got to shoot it. And Hoover threw one, and it came back to me. It's my turn to shoot it. So she chucks it up. Then Hoover realizes, geez, I better get back on the floor. I got to get this ball again when Jessica misses. So Hoover runs back on the floor, jumps up, gets the rebound, tips it back in, and gets fouled. So we rehearse the play. She saves the ball. She's in the trash can, out of the trash can, gets the rebound, lays it back up, gets fouled, three-point play. That's all coaching. I want you guys to know that. We work on that all the time. But that's what she brought to the floor. People, you can't measure that when you step out on the floor. You can't coach that. You can't teach that. That's all heart. And that's what she brought to this team. This is the floor. 4 years of the courtside chats. Well, we had some good ones, too. We had ones that never be repeated again. The thing I remember the most is her junior year hitting the three-pointer against Norton. She couldn't stop screaming about that. The Pickerington game, I mean, willed it to a victory. Somehow she grabbed this team and said, okay, let's go. What I remember, though, is the look on the other people's face that she guarded. We'd sit there and say, she's been hooved. Emily Miller slams the ball, stops. She walked off the floor crying her junior year. She didn't score. That was hooved. Rochelle Parent, she had no idea what happened to her. Fouled out in the third quarter and just couldn't figure out what had happened. And she was hooved. Hoover took care of that. Medina County honorable mention, Plaindale honorable mention, Northeast Ohio honorable mention, Suburban League second team. Scoring gets notoriety. Defense wins you games. And a box out of Tamara Stocks. Rebounds wins you championships. And that's what we got the fifth foul on, and that sent us on our way. Kristen Hoover. All right. The next young lady is better known to everybody as Monty. The one that, oh, you won't play again this year. And I said, and I remember going to Coach Bostak, you're right. You know better than that. She works too hard. I remember her rehabbing her knee as a freshman. I remember her rehabbing her knee as a senior. She works too hard. I remember her almost killing Coach Schmelzer. I remember outlet passes that our guards couldn't catch. I remember telling Mon, when you're throwing some of these people, they can't catch it. Not that it's a bad pass, it's just, It can't come at people 100 miles an hour. We would tell the post people to work on outlets. We want a good, strong, quick outlet. Tamani meant that is I was going to outlet it, and if you didn't catch it, it was going to take your head off. And she did. She outletted the ball in 11 stations that knocked somebody down from the JV team. They caught it and fell right under her rear end. If you just knocked them down. I remember her always asking, I want to shoot the 3. We got the 3. We put it up. I remember the box out drills. Her line was empty. Nobody ever got in the same line as Monty for box out drills. That was a guarantee. We would do what we call Connecticut box out, and Monty would step in the middle, and everybody would walk to the other line. Poor Kate Lowell was the only one that had to go over there because they'd keep on saying, Kate, you go. Kate, she walked over, and then she realized, oh my goodness, I'm going to get killed. So there we are, rehabbing our knee, getting ourselves back ready to play, trying to get ourselves in shape. This can't move laterally. When you injure a knee, you lose your lateral movement. I remember her telling me, Coach, I'm running backwards now. Coach, I'm running forward. Coach, I'm at 75%. And every day. And then finally, she started moving in practice, and I said, you know, Megan just moved laterally, and I'm really scared. She's an all-state performer in shot and discus, got a chance to win the state this year, and I didn't want to get her hurt in a basketball game. I mean, that was my primary concern. I didn't want her getting hurt, but I knew how much she wanted to play. We finally got some kids in foul trouble. We're playing Worcester, which is a big physical team, but they're slow. So we thought, geez, we can go with Megan here. It's not going to be much lateral move. What a good move, huh? 5 rebounds, 8 points. Only won a game for us. But Megan Montone. Now, for 2 years, I called her quiet, nice, innocent, Steffi. Now no more. When you go away, when we went to West Virginia last year to play in a tournament down there, and we went, going to Columbus this year, boy, did I learn a lot of things about Steffi. Those were the worst sunglasses I've ever seen. Steffi is that quiet person that at the end of the game, I remember talking to Todd Stump at the end of the season. He goes, well, how good do you think you are? I said, I'll tell you this right now. I said, when Stephanie Shopper scored 10 points, we're unbeatable. I'll tell you that right now. There's not a team in the state of Ohio that can beat us when Shopper scores 10. I said, her thing is she doesn't shoot the ball. For the first time in the history of basketball, we had to tell somebody to shoot it, and she'd look at me like, why? And we would say, shoot it. Would you shoot the ball? Would you shoot the ball? Would you shoot the ball? And when she decided, okay, watch this, I'm going to take it to the basket, it was phenomenal. She made moves to the basket that were phenomenal. I just remember watching them, wow, that's just an awesome move. I mean, she made athletic moves to the basket. She was very versatile. She had threes that I think the one at Springfield was still in the air. It just went out, and I'm thinking, wow, it was all that. I mean, it was constant. She was capable of stepping out and hitting the 3. And I remember going to Medina, going to 30 post. We post Steffi, give her the ball, bucket, 3-point play. We come down the floor, post Steffi, give her the ball, bucket, 3-point play. I mean, she can shoot 3s, she can score inside. She guarded people that were bigger than her, she guarded people that were quicker than her. And every time out, Stephanie competed, each time out on the floor. Twisting layups, the impossible. Let's think about Stephanie. She's impossible to yell at. I mean, usually I can find a reason to just pretty much yell at me. Steph had the hardest time yelling at anybody because anytime you said something, she was focused on what you were saying. She looked at you so intently, almost impossible to yell at. Stephanie Shopper. All right. There's a story behind this, and I'm not going to elaborate on it. But right now, I'm thinking that the boys don't play at Falls next year, and my only concern is with Tammy is that the girls do play at Falls next year. That we don't need to beat anybody up in the parking lot on the way in or the way out. But I do know one thing. If you're foolish enough to say something bad about her sister, I sure hope you know how to take care of yourself. The things I remember about Tammy Young, the knee pads. She would slide across that floor in practice. She'd slide across the floor during the games. Unbelievable. Kneeling on the floor, the enthusiasm during the games, just down there. That was my biggest concern sometimes during games. I was going to trip over because I like to kind of wander on the sidelines. I'm not good at sitting down. I get too nervous. But the constant enthusiasm that you got from her, the constant hustle that was on the floor, the no fear. I mean, you see those stickers on trucks and different people. No, I mean, Tammy Young has no fear. She would attack people. She would guard people bigger than her in practice. I remember her constantly saying, "Hey, let me guard Booges on the post." They're constantly in and out. And the best thing about it is next year we have that leadership. Next year we have that enthusiasm. Next year we have her back again. Tammy Young. Now, everybody would agree who the nicest individual is on the team in Jen Pack. But I'm in here to tell you, Jen Pack is not so nice. I can get Booges and Eli to tell you the beating they got in practice from Jen Pack. I can get the girl from Brunswick that happened to reach down for the ball, and when he was going for the rebounds from Jen, when I got on Jen Pack's case on the sideline, it says, "You're playing like a little sissy out on the floor. You're the strongest kid we have. Would you go out there and play hard?" And she knocked down about 5 people, grabbed the rebound, laying it back up, and just kind of took charge. And the kid from Brecksville that was laying on the floor with the ball, when Jen Pack picked it up and outletted her and the ball towards Jenny Martin to the other end. When she gets intense, the nice goes out the window. And what you get is a very quality basketball player that steps out on the floor and plays in very quality minutes and did a great job in some very special games, especially, not being able to play on, certain days. We would go maybe 10, 12, 14, 15 days where Jen couldn't play. And in competition, sometimes you get rusty, and you kind of see that. Jen would still come in and compete, and she played very hard in practice, and she did those things knowing, ooh, we don't have a game until Saturday, not going to play, then we don't have a game until next Saturday, not going to play, then the game's on Tuesday. So I got to go through 12 days of practice before I can play. But every day she worked very hard. And I know Lisa and Caitlin can relate to this. She definitely made them better every day in practice because of how hard she went. But one thing you will always remind me of, in the days that I was having a bad day, or the days that the kids were up during the middle of the night, and poor Kelly had to get up and I felt bad for her, she was always so nice. Every day, with a smile. "Hi, Coach Osborne, how are you? How's your wife? How are your kids?" Every day, the same questions. Always asking, always being a nice person. Jen Pack. Well, I can finally tell them apart, and thanks to Debbie Young, she got a terrific haircut. And now I can finally tell them apart. I mean, it was tough, and I felt bad because I wanted to, it wasn't pressure, but it was like I wanted to get it right because I felt, it's like a respect thing. I hate, and you don't get it right, but it was really tough for me. I have a hard time speaking, let alone seeing it and trying to get out the right name. We're asking a lot. But I remember the thing the most is her arguing which hand that Coach Post actually gets to hold for the pregame prayer. "No, I'm on this side. No, I'm on this side. I'm on this side. I'm on that side." Her and her sister would argue on which side of Coach Postek's hand getting the prayer. Then, not being able to get the warm-ups off their shoes. They have the littlest feet on the team, and they couldn't get their warm-ups off the shoes. And get over the shoes. But very intense, just a true competitor. She had what we called a game face. When it was time to play, you knew. And when she stepped on the floor, she got after it. She attacked people. She was relentless. Coach Melser called her a true warrior. Unbelievable. But, she's in the same mold that you saw Kristen Hoover play the last 4 years. She is one of the most intense individuals, day in, day out, practice games that I've ever coached. Debbie Young. Debbie's the only one that got an A in my history class this year. 27 students, only one with an A. She's only one of 3 people that did the bonus credit points. Moving to our sophomores, most people notice this by now. If we huddle by the bench, we get on the bench and we're huddling, everything's fine. If we meet on the floor, somebody's in trouble. The best thing I remember about Kate Lyron is the big circle. I wanted to meet her on the floor. She knew I wanted to meet her on the floor. She started about the foul line. She went around the big O at half court, was heading towards the Mason bench, and was just trying to avoid me like you wouldn't believe, and snuck in on the backside. She made me step off the floor behind the press guard for all I knew. The big circle. She knew. But she made it to the bench, so we had to calm down. That's the rule. But we had many, she's kind of taken over Kristen Hoover's role. We get to have the courtside chats. The biggest thing about Kate is growing up. She was a very emotional type of player as a freshman. We weren't quite sure what she's going to do when she stepped on the floor. She could make a great pass at any given time, and she could throw the ball 8 rows up and almost out of the gym at any given time as a freshman. She was averaging close to 5 assists and 5 turnovers a game at the start of the year, and we kept on talking about that ratio. You got to get that down. You got to get that down. Come tournament time at the end of the season, she was down to about 2 turnovers a game, up to about 8 assists a game. And, that's John Stockton numbers, that's Terrell Brandon numbers. I mean, that's just prime time point guard stuff. And it's just fabulous the way she played. Must be a sophomore thing, though. Vujis is the leader in penalty push-ups. We'll just call them penalty push-ups. Inman's in second place. Lyron is third. This must be a sophomore thing. But Kate Lyron up, second team Medina County, second team Suburban League, honorable mention Plain Dealer, honorable mention Northeast Ohio, all tournament team Kate Lyron. Turnover. Who's responsible for all those? Well, next player I'd like to introduce is the penalty push-up lady. Caitlin Vujis. Never on time. Has not been on time for one practice this year. If it's not the hair that has to be fixed, if it's not the braces that we got to put on, the taping that we have to do, the talking in the hallway to nobody. She claims, I don't talk to anybody. We followed her. She stopped to 7 people. Who'd you talk to? Nobody. We had Coach Postak walk her from her 8th period class to the training room to get her tape. She'd be the first one in there, last one out. Phone bill. How large was that anyway? The phone bill. How large was your phone bill? She thought nobody knew we had an unrestricted phone bill down in Columbus. We get a bill for an extra $100. No, I'm only kidding. The phone calls. Yes, Caitlin does call me on the phone. Hi, Coach, how are you? Good. What are you doing? Nothing, just want to talk on the phone. We would talk on the phone. We would talk about, everything. We would talk about nothing. Just wanted to talk. How's Christopher doing? Can I talk to him? And the babies get on the phone. She needs a watch. Mom and Dad, she needs a watch. She needs a watch, Dad. But the thing that you see about Caitlin is the first thing you recognize is, like I said, she may score 8 points, but they're the 8 of the most spectacular points you've ever seen. They're usually a twisting, a sweeping hook, a block shot. Everything she does on the floor is just spectacular. It's fantastic. There's a flair to it. It's unbelievable. It's just fun to watch her play. She goes out on the floor. She looks like she's having fun out on the floor, and she just plays the same way. First team Medina County Plain Dealer picked her as a Medina County Player of the Year. First team Plain Dealer, first team Suburban, first team Northeast Ohio. Special mention All Ohio. Sophomore. Coach Postak did a great job. What a fantastic player and a great person, Caitlin Vujis. Toughest situation to be in is to be a player that's needed at the varsity level, needs some time to develop at the JV level, and then be thrust into a starting position based on circumstances that are beyond anybody's control, and say, boom, here you go. So there we are. Ashley Senior steps on the floor to start a varsity game. Sophomore. Coach Postak and I talked before the game. We go with Ashley. Coach Postak's comment to me is, she'll bang, she'll be physical, she's physical on the soccer field, and she'll score layups. How many layups did Ashley miss in that first game? Unbelievable. The coach of the year here, Mark Postak, she'll make a layup. Just missed layup after layup, and I'm thinking, and Smelcher's going, just leave her in, she's going to get the next one. Leave her in, and we felt bad for her, and we felt good because we're like, okay, don't worry about it, Ashley, it's okay. And I'm thinking to myself, gee, Christmas, would you make the layup? So we get through that. She starts 3 varsity games. She's playing in and out. And we're having a lousy game over at Norton. And all of a sudden, with second, third quarter, we come alive, and all of a sudden, Ashley starts burying 3. Has 14 points in the second half against Norton for a varsity high. And gets people talking, oh my goodness, boy, yeah, nice shooter, nice player. Real tough situation she had to live through this year trying to play both. But 2 things I remember the most about Ashley, and this is really sticking in my mind. The temper tantrum at Copley during the JV game. Remember that? Storming around, walking and stamping her foot. I don't know where she gets that from. Must be mom and dad, but she's one of the best stampers I've ever seen with her foot. She's real good at that. But Ashley Sr. And last but not least, I'd like to bring up the Medina County Player of the Year, the first team Plain Dealer, first team Suburban, second team Northeast Ohio, honorable mention All Ohio. Somebody that as a freshman was a nice player, didn't quite believe in her abilities as a player on the floor, always wanted to do exactly what the coaches asked her to do, a very hard worker. And she goes away for a summer, and she gets picked on by the Worcester girls because Worcester beat us in the tournament last year. At least you got bragging rights. Finally. You're catching up to Vujas and penalty layups, penalty push-ups actually, but you got bragging rights. The confidence was there. You step out on the floor against Worcester. We told you we had an advantage down low. She steps in, gets the ball. Has a career game against people that she played against all summer with. They were bigger than she was. They were stronger than she was. And she just outplayed them for 32 minutes up and down the floor. She was dwarfed by Tamara Stocks in the low block versus Pickerington. Outsize, out-quickness, out-strength, and just pushed and willed her way for 27 and a half minutes of hard-fought basketball, fouls out. Once again, I thought we finally got past the I'm sorry. Comes to the bench, says, I'm sorry. As a freshman, she had to do push-ups every time she said, I'm sorry. Not allowed to say I'm sorry on the floor. But you get through all that, and then the year ends, and it's a well-deserved honor, Medina County Player of the Year. It's something that she earned. It's something that she worked for. It's something that is well-deserved. And next year, I promise, we will have warm-ups that fit you. So listen. Terry, we have a flag for you. I'm pretty sure the seniors come up here and want to say something they do every year. But I'd like to thank the parents for everything that went on this year. You was a real help to the team. The Moms Club, you guys did a terrific job in supporting the kids and getting the things for them and little gifts and stuff. That's greatly appreciated. We really appreciate it as coaches. And remember, we have the highlight film. As soon as the seniors are done speaking, we'll head over to the library. If you want to watch the highlight film, you need to go. I understand. We have numerous awards over here and stuff for the players to pick up. So players, please don't run out of here. And what else, Joe? And that'll be all. Seniors.
Just real quick, I have all these Beanie Babies, and they're all grizzly bears, and they're from Casey Penrose, and she dropped them off at my house and asked me to give them to each girl on the team. So that's what I'm gonna do real quick. Just want you to know, Casey Penrose is a 7th grader or an 8th grader. 7th grader. She plays on the 7th grade team, and so she dropped them off and wants me to give them to the girls. That's what I'm doing.
You're good at it.
Hi. We would like to, on behalf of the team, is this working? On behalf of the team, we would like to present coaches with all the gifts. I really don't think there's anything, like one thing we could say that, you know, describes how we feel about our coaches. Well, there's a lot of things we could say. We don't have a lot of time. But, no, they're great. They really are great. They put up with us through good times and bad, and, you know, they just really care about us. We care about them too, but they really care about us a lot. We thank you guys very much for everything you've done, and Harsh, you too, and Schmelzy, buddy. You know, we love you guys. So here are our gifts. The bigger gift, for you guys, you have to give it back to us because we have to put something else in it, like after you open it. But I was supposed to tell them that, so I didn't want to forget. Yeah.
Turn around so you don't see each other.
Everybody gave a baby picture, and we got them framed, and we signed our names underneath, and then the key pictures in the middle.
Jenny, you're kind of provocative in this.
We have one more item for the coaches from the seniors.
Let me see.
These are senior pictures. You. Well, while the seniors are up here, you cut down the net, and we always wondered what you're supposed to do with the net. So I got flags for the seniors. It's from Coach Postak and I. Says, Krista McCall, thanks for the memory, state champs, 1996-97. Her number is 15, and that is an actual piece of the rim. There's a little piece on here that you stick on, and that's what you hang your net from. Obviously, Kristen Hoover says the same things. Kristen Hoover, thanks for the memory, state champs. Jenny Martin, thanks for the memory, state champs. Megan Montoni, thanks for the memory, state champs. Usually the underclassmen have something to say about the outgoing seniors before we take off. Pack it or talk now. You're already running, so it doesn't matter.
We just, wait, is that on? We just want to show our appreciation for the 4 seniors that are leaving us this year, and we just want to tell them that we appreciate all their leadership, all their support. All 4 of them have been here for us all year whenever we needed anything, and so we got them each something so they can remember us. And
Oh, I'm the only one. Sorry. My bad. Wait, I don't know if oh my God. Sorry. Calendar. It's a calendar. Oh my gosh. I'm speaking on behalf of the seniors right now. One night, we all went home. Well, I walked in my bedroom. The pictures I have in frame, gone. Our rooms were like totally stripped of all pictures and stuff because our moms raided through our rooms to take all these pictures from us. So we kind of thought something spooky was going on, but really our moms just took it, so thanks, Moms. We appreciate it. We love you. Yeah.
All right, we ready for video? Mark, you ready to go? Mark says we are ready to go. We're going to head to that front door and head to the library.